and welcome to the Bitcoin Takeover podcast. This is season 17, episode 15 or 16 by the time I publish it. I'm next to Summer Meng, whom you might remember from last year. She was on the show as part of the Proof of Work Alliance. And there's going to be a giveaway in this episode. I'm going to ask her to install. Do you have your phone with you?
No.
No, you don't have your phone.
I didn't bring my phone because I worry that it will keep vibrating.
It's fine. Yeah, I have to give you one Zcash from one of the sponsors, Cake Wallet. You can bring her phone. Yes, I would appreciate it. Yes. And this episode is also sponsored by Brains, Hashpower. We're at their office right now. And Sideshift.ai, which is the place where you swap between coins. So if someone pays you in stable coins, don't hold them. Swap them on Sideshift, please. It's a much better idea. And Bitcoin.com News, which is really cool nowadays, and Layer 2 Labs, which is designing the drive chain. Check them out. And let's get to the conversation because Summer, you are the CEO of Bitmars. And you also got your phone. Now you can download Cake Wallet and get set up for the giveaway. And you've also recently become one of the leading ambassadors of Bitmain. I was going to say hardware wallets, not hardware wallets, ASIC miners. And that's sort of a big deal. They're very hard to find. If anyone wants to get the latest Bitmain ASIC miner, they have to contact you, basically.
Yes.
So I'm going to take advantage of this. Leave home with like a dozen of them. Fill like a whole train with ASIC miners.
Yeah, for sure. If you are like looking for miners, definitely reach out to us. I think we really have the best resource in the whole market, especially like with Bitmain, including other manufacturers also, what's miner, Canon. So basically we sell all and we work very closely with all the manufacturers.
So is that why you're called the ASIC Queen?
Yes. I think Christian is the first one who called it. I don't even remember. But yes, since 2017, like we're already in the space to sell miners. So our focus is really very simple. We focus to get the best price for the global miners and also at the fastest speed.
So how did you get involved in this? What's your story? I guess nobody finishes university or school and says, you know, I want to work in Bitcoin mining.
So it's really like purely by accident that I entered into this industry.
Accident?
Yes. Because of COVID, that's pretty simply. So before that, I was kind of like work with a French company, and I spent most of my time like in France for around like 7 or 8 years, like half time in China, half time in France. And then because of COVID, I got stuck in China because by that time we couldn't really travel. Yeah, so I have a lot of time like to look for like some other opportunities during that period. And then I have a friend, she was in this industry, and then she asked me like if I'm interested in having an interview. So I was thinking like, why not? Because I have time anyway. So yeah, so I just have interview, and then I find out, oh, it's easy. And I have time right now, so maybe I can just like hang out there and then do something to spend my time while I was waiting for leaving to France. Yeah.
So do you speak French?
A little bit, but now I forgot most of them because I didn't practice in the last years.
That's really fascinating. The pandemic, I guess, made a lot of people rethink their lives.
It is. It changed a lot of people's life. So that's how I got into in this industry. And then I realized like, oh, wow, it's like completely very different from what I have like deal with in the traditional industry.
That's really interesting. So how did you get to this point? Because since the pandemic, it's been 6 years. And then these 6 years, I guess you walked up the ladder and you got to the point where you're like the person to go to if anyone wants to buy miners in Europe and I guess also North America.
Yes. So I would say like first because of COVID, I got into in this industry, and then because of people, I stay in this industry. I really like the people I have met during this journey. So at the beginning, I really didn't take it like a job. I just purely enjoy like every day talking to different people, and it's like all the people we have met in this industry is very different like from any industry like in the traditional field, because everyone comes like from very different background. So like some are they just like individual investor, some is like organization, some is like purely like investors. So it's like very, very different and diversified. So I was completely like fascinated by that. And all the people, they are very nice, because at the beginning we really like in China we knew nothing about Bitcoin, and also for mining also, so we didn't really understand anything. But the people I have met during this industry, they teach me a lot of things. So it's like I really have passion and wanted to give back to the industry.
Do you have a Bitcoin story? Like, how did you discover it? Or was it for your job at the mining company?
Because of the job. Yeah, because in China, we don't really talk about Bitcoin or mining. I think probably you understand like our government's attitude is very clear. Since the 2021, like the Bitcoin mining is completely banned. So in China, we don't really talk about it. And even like on newspaper, you seldom see news about Bitcoin or mining. Even you see any, most of them are very negative stories. So mostly it's related to like scam. Yeah.
For a long time, if some big actors wanted to bring down the price of Bitcoin, they would say, oh, China has banned Bitcoin mining. And this would be such a major piece of news. And then the price would get back. And then someone would come with this story once again. And I'm talking about times before the price hit maybe $10,000 per coin, maybe pre-2017. And also afterwards, I remember there were a lot of stories about China banning mining, but it was never efficient, or it was not enforced until 2021. I think that was the major turning point.
Yes, that was like officially.
It was official before. I remember there were like press releases by the Communist Party and local governments saying that they're not going to allow, because what happened in China is that there was access to abundant electricity from water wheels, from all of this infrastructure that was built by the Chinese government. And they had no means to actually use all of that energy. It was in rural areas, in places where maybe that they had uses for electricity, but not for all of that. And a lot of the production was wasted. So some smart people figured out that they could use that excess energy to mine Bitcoin. And at some point, they became so rich that they were able to essentially bribe the politicians at the local level. So if there was some sort of law that was banning mining, they could still continue, because the police officers would look the other way or never go to that place where they were mining Bitcoin. It's actually very interesting. You joined, you said, around 2020. Did you notice any of this? Because basically there is a whole year in between the moment when you joined and the moment when there was this huge, I think it was in July of 2021, that miners were kicked out of China and they had to relocate.
To be honest, at the beginning, we didn't realize anything about it, because like when I just entered into this industry, we knew nothing about Bitcoin, also mining. So completely is new for us. And when we just started, it's like purely we take it like a training. So we didn't mine and we didn't buy any Bitcoin. So for us, it's more like business. We take it, it's more like a business. So for the mining activity, by that time, we didn't really like understand anything. But it's like not so long time after I joined, and then the Chinese completely like the banning happened. Yeah. And that's where we started to do our business, because of the banning, and then we start to sell overseas, because by that time it's only the domestic market can already like fulfill the whole business point.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering, what does it look like? What's the average setup for? Because I guess you met some Bitcoiners in person. And how do they manage their Bitcoin? Or what kind of advice did they give you in the beginning? Like, hold your coins on some exchange that's regulated by the Chinese government, self-custody with a software wallet, self-custody with a hardware wallet. What is it like?
I didn't get any advice on this,
Really?
to be honest. Yes.
So nobody from the company told you, okay, you have some Bitcoin now, this is how you should use it?
No.
How did you figure it out?
In the company, we didn't give any advice to buy Bitcoin or get into mining, because in China, what we knew about Bitcoin or mining was very limited. So we didn't want to mislead the employees to make some investment that they have no idea what is it.
So you're saying that nobody was getting paid in Bitcoin? You're receiving Chinese yuan?
Yes.
Interesting. So
yes.
A Bitcoin company was not paying anything in Bitcoin, not even 5% or something?
No. And the employees, they prefer to get it in RMB also, like Chinese yuan. They don't want to have in Bitcoin or you pay them by USDT. Nobody wants to have that.
You call it the yen?
Yeah, yen, Chinese yen,
because
or just RMB.
It's also the Japanese yen, and I was thinking it's yuan.
Yuan.
Yuan?
Yuan, yes.
Okay. So how did you get into Bitcoin after all? Did you have to study by yourself?
Yes, I studied by myself.
Did you have any sources or resources for that?
No, basically most of my knowledge comes from the discussion with the clients.
Okay, so the clients were more willing to teach you than your boss.
Yes, I would say so.
It's interesting. So who are your clients usually?
You mean from the country? We heavily focus on North American, USA. The majority comes from USA, and then we have some from globally, for example, Europe also. But because of the electricity cost is too high in Europe, so a lot of the investors, they come from Europe, but they have their miners mined in other countries.
Let me ask you something else. You're working at Bitmain, right?
Bitmars.
Bitmars. You're the CEO now.
Yes.
How did you go from just joining in 2020 to becoming the CEO of the company?
That's how can I describe that? So at the beginning, I just just purely doing some sales, but very soon, and then I got into become one of the shareholder.
So you bought stocks or shares from the company from your salary?
Yeah.
So you had a strategy to climb to the top of the company?
No, I didn't really have. But it's just the partners in the company, and then they reach out to me and then talk with me to see if I wanted to get further evolve into the company. So that's how I started to get some share, and then step by step.
And then you ended up having more than the average employee and you became CEO?
Yes.
That's crazy. But you did have to sacrifice chunks of your income, right?
No.
No? So how did you get shares?
So at the beginning, because I think my sales performance was really good among the other sales. So, and then I got offer to give me some share.
So instead of paying you extra, they would give you shares in the company.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I was thinking that you bought with your own income.
So I got some share by that time, and then So Bitmars is we merged with another company, and then now our group name is called Bitland. So under Bitland, we have two brands. One is Bitmars, another brand is focused more on the Asian market. Yeah.
Essentially, Bitmars is a distributor of ASIC miners around the world, right?
Yes.
You're intermediating between the makers of the ASICs and the buyers of the ASICs. Yes. Because usually, I think if you go to the Bitmain website, most of the time, everything is out of stock.
Yes. Or even they have stock still, and most of the time our price is much more better.
How do you get a better price than the manufacturer?
Because we work very closely with the manufacturers, and if our price is not better than them, there is no reason for us to exist in this industry also.
Yeah, but I guess you could ask a premium simply because you have availability and the manufacturer doesn't. And I guess you also have first access to purchasing new ASIC miners compared to the average internet user who just visits the Bitmain website.
Yes. So basically, I would say in everything, we have the first priority.
First priority.
Yes.
That sounds nice. Isn't this centralizing for Bitcoin mining? Like, there are not just you, there are a bunch of companies that have first access to everything. And it's up to them to sell to other markets. And maybe that some parts of the world will not have access to purchasing this. So they are basically excluded from participating in a competitive way to Bitcoin. Or do you just sell to the highest bidder? You don't care where they come from?
No, I don't see like this way. So for Bitmain, they sell globally. I mean, like individual, no matter you're individual or whatever size scale you have, you can buy direct from them. You can also like buy through us, but it's more like centralized in some, for example, like us, right? We have like better pricing, and also we have like large amount of client bases which can support us to get better access also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What is the largest order that you ever got?
By the volume, I'm thinking right now, I think it's like 10,000. So we have like orders repeatedly in very frequent quantity, like, yeah.
So you got 10,000 ASIC miners.
Yeah, if you buy, you talk about like single order, yeah.
Was it to the US?
Yes, but we have like a lot of like frequent orders, like few thousand units. It's pretty common. Yeah, few thousand.
So maybe like 10,000 S9 XPs or something in one order.
Mm-hmm.
And one S19 XP, how much does it cost? Like $10,000?
No, now it's like just few hundred.
Few hundred?
Yes.
But when you got this order, was it a few $100s or?
No, few thousand.
Few thousands.
Yeah. By that time, it's still few thousand.
So if it was like maybe let's say 5,000 and you got 10,000 in order, that was like $50 million.
Yeah. So in our industry, like the order amount can be very large. So it's something like pretty common for us to have the large amount, like by the currency.
As the CEO of Bitmars, you also get like a percentage of the orders that go through, or do you have a fixed salary?
I have some bonus.
You have some bonus.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
So how can maybe podcast listeners or whatever order from Bitmars? Or is it must be companies, not people, reaching out to you? Like, did you also sell to just someone from the internet who says, hey, I want 10 E6?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes. So actually we sell to all different clients. Even you are like individual miner, you just want to purchase one unit, we sell also. So we cover all scales, from individual to large scale miners. We cover all.
I know for a fact that there are a bunch of companies right now that are pivoting from Bitcoin mining to AI, which means that there will be a lot of unused ASICs that most likely will go to sale. Is Bitmars also involved in repurchasing these devices and reselling them to new customers?
It depends on the situation. So if the price and the miner that is suitable to our demand, yes, sometimes we do that also. Or we help the clients to resell. Sometimes we do this also.
Do you have any sort of repurchase deal with customers? So
no.
Maybe that they bought 10,000 ASIC miners and now they want to do AI and the ASICs are useless. Can you just reach out to them and say, hey, I want to buy them back at a fraction of what you paid for it, and then you resell them?
So we don't really have like a fixed condition for this kind of situation, but we are open to discuss. So it really depends on the situation, like how the market situation at that time when the clients, they want to sell and upgrade it.
It's interesting.
Yeah, but we are flexible like to discuss and help them.
You also have staff that fixes broken ASICs? Because I know it's a big business to fix them and to fix them fast, to have the proper kind of technicians, as it's expensive and it can be time consuming to order a new miner. You can just have like an engineer at your mining farm and fix the stuff. But I was wondering if you also have technicians when you ship out the ASICs to maybe ensure quality control, or you also sell used ASICs?
Yeah, for the use, we will always check and test before we ship them, and also send a test report to the clients to make sure that it's working before the shipment. So for the used units, we will do it this way. But for the new miners, we cannot do it this way because for us, we sell it as completely new. So once it's open, we cannot consider this as 100 brand new. And also it's very hard to distinguish after you open the box. If anything happened, maybe during the transportation or if once it's open, it's hard to define that. So for the new miners, we don't open to test, but for the use, yes.
What I want to ask you next is, what are you doing at Brains right now, which is one of the top 10, I think, mining pools in Bitcoin? And in the meantime, I'm going to ask you to also grab your phone and download Cake Wallet so you can receive the giveaway for this episode.
Okay. So for Brains, we have very good relationship with Brains, and Christian is my boyfriend, so that's one of the main reasons why I'm here.
Would you say that Brains has an unfair advantage right now for getting access to miners?
I would say that they have a really good advantage.
Good advantage.
Yes, because we have the first priority, and they are our very good partners. So.
And yet, why doesn't the percentage of hash rate coming from Brains not go up? Because they've been at 5% for many years now.
I think soon you will see that it will go up because probably I think many people have seen they release a video before to announce they are 6 megawatt in Texas. Yeah.
Interesting. It's funny that somehow in the span of 5 years from 2021 until now, most of the mining moved away from China and into the US. And would you say that the business became better for Bitmars after the move outside of China? Are you selling more devices? Are you making more money than when you were selling them to Chinese customers?
No, I will not put it this way. I will say now for the miner sales profit is really very, very transparent. No matter where you sell to, which region you are selling to, the market now gets more normalized. I would say it gets normalized. So the profit is not like what it used to be.
So it's not what it used to be?
Yes.
Is it more difficult nowadays to sell your stocks of ASIC miners than it was, say, before the rise of AI?
Yes, because I think especially this year, this is a very critical year, I think, in our industry. Everybody feel the same way. For example, we can see for the public companies, they are all moving to AI. So I think for this year, we don't see the hash rate will grow dramatically. I would say that it will pretty much stay and maybe slightly go up a little bit, but it will not further expand too much. We can see it from our clients also. A lot of clients the small individual miners, we can see that they are pretty much out of the market already. So for some middle scale clients, they just upgrade the miners. For the efficiency, they upgrade to better efficiency. Yeah, but not really a lot of them not really have a big plan to further expanding too much.
So what you're saying is that if there's going to be any increase in hash rate, it's because the machines are getting better and the miners are improving their hardware, but not because we have more miners.
Yes, I would not see that we will have more new miners coming into the market too much. It's more upgrading.
For the past 2 years, we have seen that the Bitcoin blocks have been mostly empty, not as full as they were before. There used to be a time in 2024 when I think for 5 consecutive blocks, the fee reward was higher than the inflation reward that comes from the system. And I was wondering if having more fees would actually incentivize mining and drive up sales for ASIC miners. Or it doesn't matter? Have you noticed the difference?
I think it doesn't matter so much. From our for just as a miner sales perspective, a lot of clients now, they do mining not just it's not like a few years ago, a lot of people, they might just for mining like Bitcoin. But now we can see a lot of clients, their project set up. It's just like mining is just part of it, but it's more like combined with other purpose. For example, like heat reuse.
I was going to get to that, yeah.
Yes. So especially like in some Nordic countries also, a lot of like they have government support, so for mining it's just like part of the project.
Right, because for a long time there was this narrative that mining is bad for the environment, that proof of work hashing is wasteful and it doesn't produce anything useful. We were trying, on the other hand, to argue that, well, having freedom money brings a lot of utility and benefits to human society as a whole. They disagreed with us. We had Greenpeace trying to advocate for switching from proof of work to proof of stake, and that was 3 or 4 years ago. And it was a campaign called Change the Code. But ever since we got the Bitcoin ETFs and a bunch of large investment funds started buying, or at least getting exposure to Bitcoin, we have seen most of that FUD go away. Like I haven't seen a major publication mention that Bitcoin mining is bad for the planet or whatever. And I also see a whole movement with using the heat generated by these ASIC miners for a good purpose, like heating your home or making... I've seen a bunch of people making dry snacks like this salami or whatever. They put meat and they make bacon on top of their ASIC miners, or they dry mushrooms, or I don't know, all sorts of interesting use cases. And people are innovating with this idea that, okay, I have this machine, it can potentially make me money if it discovers a block, but at the same time it also brings a benefit that I was using before in a more wasteful way. Because when you think about it, every heater in your home is more wasteful than a Bitcoin miner, because the Bitcoin miner can also generate some rewards and also supports a freedom money network. Whereas your normal radiator, it just burns electricity and generates heat that gets lost.
Yes, we see this like the heat use case really grow a lot. I think especially since last year, like the little home miner also gets very popular. Like Canon, they have one model called Avalon Q. Since the end of last year, it's really like selling a lot. So people are using it for heating their home and also swimming pool and also like the pool. So we can see a lot, especially now in Nordic countries, we can see it grows a lot.
This is something I did not think about. So you can use your Bitcoin miner to make the water hot in your swimming pool.
Yeah.
That's something to really think about. Because usually, of course, in northern countries, it's colder and therefore they need heating for an extended period of time over the year. But here, for example, maybe you need heating for 4 months a year. And for the other 8 months of the year, you have no justification for running your ASIC. You're not generating heat for anything useful. But heating your pool, that's something that you need even during summer.
Yes. People also use to heat the water for taking shower. So
yeah, also the shower water.
Yes.
There's a lot of potential here. So what does it take for the average person to install something like this? Of course, they have to buy the ASIC miner, but then how do they capture that heat?
You can use like heat exchanger to take the heat and then to use it.
Extender or what?
Heat exchanger.
Exchanger?
Yeah, heat exchanger.
I don't know what that is.
I don't know how to explain to you on that.
Exchanger.
Yeah,
oh, exchanger. Okay. Yes. I heard exchanger. Which
no, exchanger.
Okay, exchanger.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lucas. You're up next for podcasting, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, for all the crap that we heard about Bitcoin mining being wasteful, it's good to hear some success stories. And I know that Christian recently, I mean, your boyfriend, fiance, he did a video where he presented how somebody is using heating from the ASIC miner, and he's also mining with, I was gonna say slush pool, but now it's brains, as you can see right here. And I suppose we're gonna be seeing more of this. I expect it at least from office buildings, because there's a lot of money that goes to heating bills during the winter. And I also think that now gas has become more expensive in Europe due to the war in Ukraine and some distribution issues. A lot of us are paying at least double for the gas as we did in previous years. So I expect for as long as electricity is affordable, which in some cases it's not, but some people in Europe have solar panels or some other way to generate electricity, and they can put that into mining and they can reuse the heat for having hot water, and that can be very cost effective. I'm not going to say sustainable, that's like a very overused term, which I guess it's also misused in some contexts, but it can be cost effective.
Yeah. Recycling, maybe. Renewable.
Recycling, yes. We got to reuse it. So do you see in the next 5 years Bitcoin mining increasing and becoming more popular because of this home use? Or do you believe that there's gonna be like a slow down spiral in terms of hash rate and participants, especially because of AI, and maybe that this whole Bitcoin/crypto hype is not as strong as it was a few years ago?
For the hash rate going, personally, I don't really see like a big growth on the hash rate. But I think the use case for like individual use, like home miners, I definitely think that it will grow. Like we just talked about, like for example, like heat reuse. So for the home miners, like individual miners, it's easy to set up, and also the cost is very low. So that you anyway need to heat your home like during the winter. So at the same time, if you can warm your house and also mine Bitcoin at the same time, that's like a very perfect combination. So I think for the home use case, yes, I see that's growing. But for if we are talking about like large scale hash rate growing, I don't see that at this moment.
For home use, I think there are a bunch of interesting devices. Of course, there is a Brains mini miner, which they released. It does 1 terahash per second. And there are also the BitAxe devices. And there's another one, I don't remember what it's called, but I will...
Canon,
yes. Canon, yeah. But there's another one that specializes in small home Bitcoin devices. I will keep thinking about
Hitbit?
Hitbit?
Yeah.
No. Maybe it is, but that's not the one I think about.
21 Energy?
Not 21 Energy. I sent them a DM on Twitter, so I'm gonna be able to find it.
You mean specialized for the home miner for
Yes, specialized for home mining.
I know.
My God, I have so many messages.
I know Hitbit they do it.
And that was just last week because they launched a new miner. And I should have the message that I sent to them. Ugh, I hate it when I have to scroll through messages. Anyway, you can set up your Cake wallet in the meantime, so we don't waste our time, which is a show sponsor. So it's this guy, John S. And it's called FutureBit.
FutureBit?
FutureBit, yeah.
I never heard about it.
You heard about it now?
Yes.
It looks like this. They say we build accessible hardware empowering individuals with the full tool set of Bitcoin made in the USA.
FutureBit. No, it's my first time to hear this. Apollo.
Yeah, their product is called Apollo. I think they hit the 3rd generation now.
Apollo is not new. We know Apollo, but FutureBit we don't know.
Anyway, they launched a new device and it's specialized for home mining. That's the whole point. It looks like this.
I should have a look.
You want me to have a look?
Oh. Apollo.
Cake wallet. That's what you should be downloading. Christian also got his taste of the cake. It's interesting. She has this handle for the phone with.
It's convenient.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very convenient.
There you go. I'm not sure if your internet is very fast here.
Probably not.
Yeah, but where was I going with this? Oh yeah.
Home mining. We're talking about home mining.
Yes, home mining. Do you recommend people to get one of these tiny miners, which are brand new and they come from a brand which specializes in home mining? Or is it better to get an older ASIC miner, even an S9 or whatever, and downclock it to work at around the same hash rate?
I think it really depends on the purpose. So for the S19, it depends on your home environment. It's quite noisy. So
that's another factor, yeah.
If you put it like at home in your living room, it's not doable with the normal S19. It will be too loud. The sound is like unbearable. So if you
it's
want
like
to
a vacuum cleaner for those of you who don't know, it's like
yes. So if you want to like have it at home, definitely like the smaller one is like they call it like wife approved.
Wife approved.
Yes.
That's a good way of putting it.
It's slow, still downloading.
Are you connected to the Wi-Fi here?
Yeah, it is Wi-Fi here.
Because it's like a Faraday cage in here. It sort of blocks all the signal. You don't need a tinfoil hat in the brain's offices because you have this isolation of all possible signals. There's no radio signal here.
It's downloading.
It's a bunker. They have their company in a bunker.
Oh.
Yeah, while it's downloading, I gotta thank the sponsors once again. Obviously, Cake Wallet, and I'll give her 1 Zcash from Cake Wallet. And Layer 2 Labs building the drive chain, which might just be one of the solutions to get more fees from the miners. And Bitcoin.com News, which strikes a good balance. Yes, set up a new wallet. Strikes a good balance between being institutional and being political. And they also have some community news, which I like. It's news.bitcoin.com. And what else? Sideshift.ai, where you swap between what you receive and don't want to what you really want, which is Bitcoin. And they have a lot of trading pairs and also good liquidity. No mandatory KYC or sign up, but you can sign up. I think they have their own token and you get tokens back for every shift. And if you're into that, you can actually make some money back. But anyway, Sideshift.ai, I'm just waiting for her to finish installing. You need the Zcash one. I'm gonna send you 1 ZEC, which today is like $200. And you can swap that for Bitcoin or USDT or whatever is popular in your circles. Oh yeah, you have to write down the 12 words. Christian, the way that he did it was to take a screenshot or copy them into a note, because he's not planning to hold them on the long term. He just swapped for Bitcoin, which is a feature that you have in Cake Wallet. And it works pretty good. Yeah, I'm really grateful for this invitation. Brains Hash Power, it's a new service that they launched about a month ago. And it sort of sounds like cloud mining, except that it's much more interesting. And no mandatory KYC is basically, if you remember Compass mining like 5 years ago, that was such a scam. Such a scam. Like people were renting their ASICs that did not exist. They showed up in their dashboard and they're like, oh, look at me, I'm mining, I'm making money. And then they realized that it doesn't exist. They were paying for something that did not exist. But here, you're actually buying your hash rate for a certain amount of time. Just last week, oh, you're ready. Just last week, there was someone who mined a full block, like rented, I don't know how much, like a few $100s worth of hash rate, and was able to find a full block and get 3.125 Bitcoin. Yep. I'm gonna send her 1 Zcash from Cake Wallet from the sponsor. It's a way of showing that we care about your time and about your work.
Thank you.
Send. Scan 1. and send. Swipe the screen to finalize the transaction.
I should scan it?
No. Swipe. Swipe on my screen. Okay. Now it should say that it was sent. It was sent, and within 2 minutes, you're going to get the coins to your wallet. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I hope the onboarding process was fast and you like the user experience. Okay, what else should we cover with mining? Is there any aspect of your work that we did not discuss?
I'm thinking. I didn't think of any subject.
Okay, let me pick something. Right now, Bitmain owns about 80%, if not more, of the ASIC mining market. Why do you think that is? And how can the competition catch up with them?
I think it will be very hard to catch up with Bitmain, to be honest. I mean, of course, we wish to have like more manufacturers because more competition is always good for the ecosystem. But for ASIC production, it's really like money burning business. So even you have the capital, still you need to have like the team to develop it. So in general, this is a very hard business. We can see like, I think in the last few years, we have seen like so many people, they are like announcing like we are going to release this miner with this efficiency. But to be honest, like few years passed already. So far, we haven't really see like any miner that can really like compete with Bitmain. I mean, for example, we're talking about like the scale, right? The production capacity. So if you don't have the production capacity, it's very hard to really like get into the market because nobody, if you don't have the miners are released to the market and then for the miners to buy and then to try. So if they don't see like the proof of work in the market, nobody want to be the first one to buy and then to test. Plus like the price is still not so good when you compare it to Bitmain, which you already like have a lot of proof of work in the market already. So this is a very hard business.
If I remember correctly, Intel and Samsung were going to join this ASIC manufacturing market, but they decided not to. Well, why do you think that is? Because these companies are huge. They have a lot of products.
I think it's really like very hard business, I would say. And also now a lot of people, they're turning to AI already also. So I don't really see like more new manufacturers are coming inside.
Now we got a wave from Christian.
And also like
side of the room.
Yes. So like Auradai, we see like Auradai, which already in the market for a few years. But to be honest, like we haven't really seen like a lot of people are using a lot Auradai in the market.
How do you spell that? Auradai?
Auradai. Auradine.
Auradai.
Yes.
Okay.
Auradai, yes.
I was not even aware that they're in this business.
No, they already announced their first ASIC already for a few years. And Mara invests on them also.
Do you see any issue with the mining pools today? Are any of them so big that it's going to be very hard to take them down? Like, there's Antpool, for example, which has, I guess, much easier access to new ASIC miners compared to the others.
For the pool, we don't really care so much about the pool, to be honest.
Okay.
Yes.
You're just selling to all of them?
Yes.
Did you get much orders from what's Ocean Mining?
Ocean?
Did you get any orders from Ocean?
No.
No?
No.
What is the biggest client that you have for Bitmars?
Some public companies, but we cannot name their name.
But they're public.
Yes, but
they probably filed this in their reports.
I know, but we cannot share the name. Fine. Yes.
So American public companies.
Yeah, so we work with some large-scale company, but we cannot release like in public to talk about that they buy from us.
Let's say that a podcast listener is interested in purchasing a bunch of ASIC miners right now. What's the best way to contact you or Bitmars?
They can follow me on my Twitter or LinkedIn, and they can send me a message. Telegram also.
What if they find someone impersonating you and pretending to be you, and they send their money to someone who pretends to be Summer?
No, I only have one like official Twitter account and LinkedIn, so I would think like the best way to reach out to me can DM me on Twitter.
I said this because like 3 or 4 years ago, I have a friend who was contacted by someone pretending to be me on Telegram.
It's happening a lot right now.
The impersonator said, I found some very good prices for ASIC miners and send me like $20,000 and I will buy 100 of them and we can set up a mining operation and whatever. And my friend got so excited that he did not check if, on Telegram, you can see if you have any groups in common or how old the account is and which country it's based. He didn't do any of this checking or even scroll up to see if there are any old messages coming from me. And he got so excited that he sent the money directly. And then the scammer was very happy, deleted his account, disappeared. And then he messaged me on my real account and said, hey, Vlad, what did you do with ASIC miners? And I was like, what ASIC miners? Really sucks.
Yes, I would say like really be extra careful. So there are a lot of like scammers out there in our industry. So if someone suddenly like reach out to you to offer you something like very, very like competitive price and which is obviously lower than the market level, really be careful. And also, they can verify our payment information in our website also. So for example, like if someone pretend to be our sales and then suddenly to send you a new payment information or a wallet address that is different from what we used to have. So always double check and verify. We always update like in time in our website for all the payment information.
You're very modest, Summer, because like 10 steps ago in terms of our conversation, if we break it down as a thread, I was asking you what kind of educational materials you were using for learning about Bitcoin. And you didn't mention that you translated this book into Chinese.
Yes, this is the book from Kristen. I think that's the only one we have in China for Bitcoin mining.
It's exactly this one, the Ultimate Bitcoin Mining Guide.
Yes.
And now I heard that there are even at large companies like Bitmain, you have them giving them out to employees so that they understand how the business works and some technical details about Bitcoin mining.
Yes, this book is very popular in China. So as I mentioned like previously, we don't really have any educational material for Bitcoin, especially like for mining. I can say it's really like zero. So we really need more education really in our industry. And thanks to Brain's team, they really give a lot of like contribution to the education in our industry. For this, I really like them a lot. Yeah.
Thank you for doing this. Have you learned anything useful from this book?
For this one?
Yes.
I would say like when I just entered the industry, I really wish to have one book like this because it helps a lot to understand like everything about mining, from like buying the miners and setup and then choosing pool or everything. So this is really a very helpful book, even like for me doing the translation.
No, but I'm asking you if you learned personally anything from it.
I would say Kristen shares something very useful for some Telegram group or some channel information like where we can learn more. I like that part.
No, but you personally, like you work in the industry. You translated the book. When you were translating it, did you feel like you learned something new at the personal level and said, I didn't know this? Or you already knew most of the stuff?
By the time I translate, I already knew most of the stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Where is this available? Because I know that the English version is on the Brains website as a PDF. You can get that for free. Is the Chinese version also available for free?
Yes, it's also available to download for free.
But for the hard copy, which we have here, can they order it from somewhere?
For Chinese version, I think they don't have it for order the copy, but they have only PDF at this moment available to free download. So if they want to have it, we have some, I think still some left in our office. Yeah.
Personal curiosity. Have you ever heard of the Keystone hardware wallet or the Kobo?
No, to be honest.
Have you heard of Kobo, C-O-B-O? It's a Chinese company, and they do most of their business with Bitcoin miners. And they also released a hardware wallet, which is sort of exclusive to the Chinese market.
No, to be honest, I'm not aware of that.
Okay, I was just curious because, of course, China is a big country. You can't know about everything going on. But apparently Kobo is the largest manufacturer of hardware wallets in China.
Mm-hmm.
And there are also a bunch of Trezor clones that are being sold around.
Trezor we know, but Oppo we don't know.
Okay. So when we started the conversation, you said that there's a new ban for mining in China. And I asked you, how can there be a ban on top of an already existing ban? What is that about?
I would not say like it's a new ban, but in last year, I would say like in the last 2 years, so some minor activities start again in China, especially in Xinjiang province. So there's like really like very active. I think we can see the hash rate grow around like maybe 15 to 17%. So I think mostly it's coming from that province because they have a lot of like cheap electricity, and also they have space for mining there. But last December, and I think it grows like too crazy, it's too visible. So whatever reason, anyway, the government noticed this and then released like official notification to ban. And then it shut down kind of like all at one night.
So there was a resurgence of mining happening in a region of China.
Yes.
And they decided to shut that down. What was the impact on the hash rate for Bitcoin? Was it large or just a blip?
I would say around maybe 8 to 10%.
Interesting.
Yes.
8 to 10% just from that operation?
Yes.
Because I know in 2021, all of these companies, for example, what's the name of it? The CEO of Sato Fishy, the guy who travels to another country every day.
Mr. Wang?
Just a second. I'm bad with names right now, but I'm gonna find it because it's one of the top free mining pools.
F2 pool?
F2 pool, yeah. Exactly. So F2 pool has a bunch of... Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, they relocated to another country. I think they're based in Singapore right now. And a bunch of other Chinese miners, they're based in Hong Kong or other parts of China, which maybe are not as, should I put it, sensitive to the actions of the Chinese government. Mm-hmm. You think that there can be some repercussions from that and maybe that they should relocate somewhere else? And also, are you still based in China with Bitmars?
Yes.
Is it fine that you do business with other companies?
Yes. So in China, it's legal to sell miners. It's not allowed to do mining, but for selling the machines, it's legal.
It's like the drug laws in some countries where it's legal to sell, but illegal to consume, if that makes any sense.
Yes. So it's like the miners, they are manufactured, a lot are manufactured in China, but you have to export.
Yeah, really interesting how it works there. Have you visited any of these large mining farms?
In China?
Yes.
Not yet. I didn't have the occasion yet, and then it shut down now.
Oh, that's a bummer because you never get to see like how they work out there.
Yes.
You sell the devices, but you don't see the large farms.
And a lot of people, they heavily, I think, start to invest like last year. A lot of them are still like on the installation period. And then now the banning happens, so all are shut down.
Do you think that mining is going to stay industrial forever with large farms and companies that operate them? Or do you think slowly it will transition towards a future where most users have a miner inside of their home and they heat their water with it and they find other use cases, but it will be more personal than corporate?
I think if you're talking about like large scale, yes, I think it will only be large scale players if talking about like big project, if for dedicated to mining, yes. But I do see like the growing for home mining, like individual. If you compare, for example, like heat reuse or a lot of like the small miners, easy for people to play at home and learn about Bitcoin or Bitcoin mining.
Do you only deal with SHA-256 miners for Bitcoin, or do you also have script break-free?
We have that also. So basically, we sell all the miners to mine all the available cryptocurrencies.
Okay, how many types of miners do you have right now?
How many?
Yes.
I cannot come up with the number right now, but we do have like different types. But
more than 10?
More than 10. I would say like less than 30.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because a lot of it's like the same models, but they have like different hash rates.
What are the top 3 most popular ones?
For air-cooled, it's 21 XP, and then S21 Pro, but it's out of stock right now, and then S21 Plus is also out of stock. So for air-cooled, it's these 3. And then for the hydro, a lot of people are paying attention for the S23 that is going to release in April. And then above that, for the available stock, is the S21 XP hydro. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then for the other cryptocurrency is Litecoin L9.
Litecoin?
Yes. You mine Litecoin, and then you get Doge at the same time.
Yeah, I hear that. Yes. And right now, the reason why Litecoin is not going up in price is that Dogecoin has a higher market cap. So the miners sell the Litecoin and keep the Dogecoin.
Yes. So for other cryptocurrencies, only L9 at this moment is like quite popular.
Okay. I know that there are a bunch of coins that use Blake free. There's also Caspa that uses something else. No,
nobody are really buying like Caspa right now.
Good to know.
Yes. Now it's still like mainly Bitcoin miners.
There was like a bull market for Zcash over the last 5 months. Have you seen any increased demand for Zcash miners?
We do see a lot of demand from this, but right now there is no stock for this. So it's like we have demand, but there is nothing available at this moment. Occasionally there are some use units like available, but it's very limited. Mm-hmm. So, and then the future order will be available in April. So yes, have demand, but no stock.
I guess they were not ready to manufacture them on time.
Yes.
That's how it goes. And then they make them and they don't find as many buyers anymore because we're in a bear market.
Yes. It always happens for this, like with pre-orders is a lot of uncertainties.
One of the oldest mining stories is that manufacturers of ASICs, they use the miners before they send them to the customers. Have you heard of any of that?
Yes, a lot. But I think they will not call it like they use it. It's like under testing.
Oh, testing.
Yeah, okay. Under testing to guarantee the reliable quality when it's delivered to the client. Yeah.
Interesting. Because even from the first days of ASIC miners with Butterfly Labs and Avalon, they were saying that they would receive units that had dust on them, which means that they were held somewhere and probably used.
Yes, I think it's under testing, but before the shipment, they didn't do the cleaning like properly. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Something else that we said we would touch upon is water cooling for miners. Is it like a big deal right now? Because I guess these ventilators that they use, these heat sinks, are not always the most efficient. And this is actually an old technique that we used to use in making PC games, PC systems for playing games. And water cooling was one of the solutions that took more work to install, but once you had that, the temperature was constant.
Yes. So we do see like hydro is growing a lot right now, especially since I would say end of last year, and this year it will be mainly hydro. So because starting from the manufacturer, they already switched to that. For example, let's talk about like Bitmain, the new model they're going to release for the S23. So currently it's only hydro available. There is no plan for air cool and or immersion yet. So everybody is switching to hydro.
Interesting. If I was to buy an S19 from you right now, what's the street price for it?
S19, the S19 K Pro now is the new, like for the S19 series, what is available right now is S19 K Pro. It's less than $300.
Okay. Yeah. If I want to buy one right now, can I take it home?
I don't have it here. Have to send from Hong Kong.
Can't blame me for trying. I tried.
Yes.
Okay, Summer. Is there any aspect of your work that you want to share that we haven't yet?
I think we cover everything we wanted to discuss.
How can people follow you and keep up with what you're doing with Bitmars?
They can follow me on my Twitter or LinkedIn.
What's your Twitter?
Twitter.
Is it Summer Meng?
Summer Meng 21.
Yes. Summer, just like the English word, Meng, M-E-N-G, 21.
Yes.
You say you share your Bitcoin mining stories. Tell me a funny one before we end the interview.
Bitcoin mining?
Mining story. Like a funny mining story. Do you have any of that?
Funny mining, and I cannot come up with any at this moment. Trying to think.
Did you have any troll orders, like someone ordering like 1,000 ASICs but never paying?
You mean like a lot of people ask you to give invoice and then they say that they're going to pay the next day? That happens a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's part of the business.
Yes. So that's normal for us.
Okay, thank you very much, Summer.
Thank you.
This was fun.
Thank you, Bella.